Hey guys, Tbull here. Today we got a game in the Flint for you. It's a quick hitter. There's my Norm Scott build for you. I think this is a pretty good example of what I like to do with these American light cruisers, which is capture and hold territory. I view these as defensive pieces, like artillery pieces basically, that you put them in a certain position and then enemies trying to push into that position gonna not have an enjoyable time. So that's how I usually like to use these. They're not great at pushing, but they're really good at gaining territory and then holding it. So you can see we missed the beginning of this game. I hit record just a smidge late, but our destroyer gets on C, and then we move aggressively into B here. They got one destroyer. They don't have a lot of ships that I'm looking at thinking that can wreck me early. So I got this island cover. I'm just going to pull up there, see if I can capture the base. If we can, we're going to have a 3-to-1 base advantage. And statistically, we probably have about a 95% chance to win the game at that point in time. And that's 2 minutes into the game, which is devastating for Red. You never want to concede a base early. You definitely don't want to concede majority of bases early. Very, very rarely are you going to get out of that. But what are we doing here? Yes, we're capturing the base, but now we've kind of gained territory. You see, we're basically in the middle of the map if you look at the equator of the map. But on the right flank here. So look at the white circle ring. That's basically my zone of control. And again, we're kind of viewing this as an artillery piece. We put it as far forward as we safely can, and then we just hold that territory. Because we're not going to analyze the left-hand side of the map too much. Basically, it's going to be a disaster for Red. They got 2 cruisers pushing into 3 battleships. That's a recipe for disaster. I don't know what happens to that destroyer over there. You guys can keep an eye on it. But I want to analyze this portion of the map, and it's basically, we have 3 active ships. We do have a Martel all the way in the south who couldn't be bothered to pick up the control of this particular game. So we effectively have 3 ships over here. They have 3 that we know about. I think they have 5 overall, and they need to recognize, okay, we're down caps. This is a major problem. How do we rectify that? We push forward and flip those caps. Now they should be analyzing the map here and saying, okay, we see 3 ships over here. We got 5. Let's move them into position. Capture B in this instance. It's the eastern cap of this map. The thought process is thwarted by 2 factors. Number one, it's a high-tier game. Most players in high-tier games don't move forward. They don't actually leave the spawn ever, which is not a good strategy, but it's a very common high-tier strategy. And second, they got this light cruiser here, and they can't really see me because I can sit behind these islands. As long as we get spotting, we can shoot for free, and they can't shoot back. And that's extremely frustrating. People do not like to go outside when it's raining. They especially don't like to go outside when the forecast calls for golden showers. They get all sticky. They got to go home, clean up. It's too much work for them, so they're just going to stay in the back and let someone else deal with the problem. And that's basically what our role is in these ships. We want to capture these territories and then hold on to them. You see there, we moved up an island, and this is kind of another key play in this type of ship. A lot of times you see these light cruisers, they'll take a good, strong opening position, usually in the back, but then they move forward too slowly. They're kind of contented to sit there, and they let the game flow take them out of position. So you want to be continuing to move forward, and we're very aggressive here. We're moving up, taking these positions, torpedoing the alley here, trying to spray this Vlad with all sorts of nastiness. And what you need to understand when you're playing these ships, at least the way I play them, you can see I'm very aggressive with my positioning. If these battleships rush me, they're going to kill me. And that's the remedy to these American light cruisers in particular. They cannot defend themselves. Now, the Flint is one of the few exceptions where we do actually have torpedoes. But nonetheless, if a Vlad's pushing into me, and you can see there the Martel went in front of 2 very dangerous battleships completely broadside. I gave him a little snide thing on the radio, forgive me, but it was just a little bit of exacerbated by that play. But those 2 ships in particular, they could absolutely wreck me, and they might be looking at that Lenin behind me saying, I don't want to mess with that guy, but that's not their prerogative. If you're still trying to actually win this game, you have to push forward. You don't have the luxury to just sit back there and say, well, I don't like to do this. I don't want to push into a Flint, and I certainly don't want to push into a Lenin. Nobody cares. Either you do that, or you're for sure going to lose the game. You can see our team very, very passive in the southwest, but they just don't have the numbers to do anything about that. Our destroyer is squirting through. He's presumably trying to torp that battleship, and then he's going to try and get on their northern cap to give them the coup de grace. in terms of scoring. But we're just basically sitting over here. We're utilizing this cover, moving back and forth, trying to make sure we get these shots, and just trying to spray all these different targets, because if you leave them alone for a little while, they're going to be like, okay, well, that light cruiser is no longer a problem. I'm going to see if we can push in here, get that base. Just starts hosing them down, and they're just going to be like, ah, no, okay, I'm not going to get involved with that. They're going to sail off. And you can see these guys do not want to push in, even though the game situation definitely calls for, you know, getting me out of here. And there's a first shot we really take. I squirted through that smoke. So good shot, good attempt to remove me, because that's definitely a step one in fixing this game situation. But once again, red numerically superior over here, sitting back on their laurels, not doing anything. That's always a problem. It's very common to see, and that's usually how games are thrown. You know, one side's going to be strong for our team, the other side's going to be strong for the enemy team. Which side resolves their strong side quicker? That's usually how you win the game. And you can see now our west just finished up there, and now they're going to move north and just start to flank these guys, and they're all located in the top northeast quadrant of the map. So we got excellent map control. They're going to be subjected to crossfire at this point in time. Capture objective, you know, domination objective wise, complete domination there. No chance whatsoever. So this game was really a beatdown. It was kind of conceded by red from the opening play, just because their destroyer didn't want to bother with C and nobody wanted to push me off of B. So we got 2 free caps, and then we basically didn't do anything too wild. We held the territory. We didn't try to win harder, as Flamu says, you know, by pushing into ships once we've established the win conditions. We already had the 3 caps to 1. All we had to do is hold that territory. We don't need to push them off into the Arctic Circle. We just need to keep them out of the caps. So that's all we're doing here. And the Flint and other American light cruisers are excellent pieces in doing so. So if you want to view this game as a strategy game, which I like to do, especially as like a board game analog, I kind of view these pieces, these light cruisers, as pieces that only move forward. You know, yes, you can disengage with them, and sometimes you have to, but usually if you're forced to disengage, you're going to die just because you're getting rushed by a battleship or something that can wreck you. But if we're just moving forward, we're expanding our team's reach, and then we're just holding those positions. That's kind of what we're trying to do with those ships, at least in my opinion. So that's a quick one for you guys there. Hopefully you did enjoy it. If you did, please hit the thumbs up. New to the channel, consider subscribing. We got lots of World of Warships. It's coming all the time. Questions, comments, leave below. Love to hear from you, and we'll see y'all later. Peace.